And then just start to breathe and just take a few moments to settle into this space. So letting this be our yoga space, our time to attune to ourselves, to listen, to feel, to move in a way that brings more synergy, balance, wholeness. And so just carve out space wherever you are so that there's an energetic space for you to do that. So maybe you create a boundary between all the other things that are calling, like emails or phone calls or to-do lists, or just even from space of our family, just that this is your personal space to do for you. Once you've kind of carved that space, maybe it's like a block of space or on your yoga mat, check in with yourself. So kind of noticing where the energy is in your body. Is it in your head more? Is it in your belly? Is it in your heart? Is it scattered? Just kind of scanning and just noticing where's your energy. Is it even with you? Sometimes I notice my energy is somewhere else. It's worrying about the future, or it's back in the past, or it's... So you might have to reclaim and draw your energy back in. And then just spend the last few moments just breathing into the heart space. So if you liked that breath we've been working with, so it says 7 counts in, hold at the top, 7 counts out, hold at the bottom for a beat. And again, we're imagining that we're breathing in and out through the heart. So even though we know it's going in through our nose, I want you to imagine that the heart space is getting prana drawn in, and that this prana can be recirculated as we breathe out, and that through the heart we can kind of let ourselves feel, release, let go. Let's take about 5 deep breaths just doing that, like nice and slow, whether it's the 7 counts or it's just a long, slow, deep breath. Let your jaw soften and your neck. And then letting your face soften. And even the boundary of your skin soften. Almost like with every breath, you become more kind of buoyant. Your tissues become more pliable. And then last breath cycle. And then bring your hands to meet at your heart. And then any intention that you'd like for this practice, like really allow this practice to be movement and meditation or an intentional way. So maybe draw in your intention with an inhale. With an exhale, send this out to your cells, to the universe. And then when you're ready, release your hands and we'll come onto our backs. So we're going to work today with slow transitions. So I feel like that for me has kind of been like a theme for this Mercury retrograde, is like, how do we transition into like all these new things with more like kind of consciousness, and that letting ourselves like retrace steps from time to time to go back and then to check it out, try something, check it out, like that we don't feel like we have to make really big, bold leaps, but that we can transition slowly. So we're going to work with really slowing down the movement and feeling its initiation. And I'll be telling you different places to initiate. But let's start to just kind of roll the spine up. So imprinting the spine, feeling your belly, and then rolling up nice and slow. Taking a deep breath in, and on the exhale, rolling down, feeling the articulation of the spine. And then inhale, the kind of maybe the pubic bone rolls forward, and then exhale, lengthening through the tailbone, and really feeling that lift off and a slow articulation as you roll up. And then slow articulation as you roll down. Like feeling for the transitional points between touching the earth and not touching the earth. Between going from the lower to the middle to the upper. And a couple more. Feeling those sweet spots of places where maybe the tissues feel more gummed together. So that we can create a little bit more awareness and pliability with our breath. And then nice and slow release. And then bring your legs up to tabletop so that knees are over the hips. You can awaken your feet by pointing your toes, or if you want to use your heels, you can. So I want you to feel the core support. So drawing the belly button in so that we feel nice and strong, the ribs knit back and in. When I say in, I mean like kind of sternum towards the pelvis. And then we're either gonna, with your heel or with your toe, tap the floor without losing the core support. Inhale, bring it in, and then kind of relax for a moment. And then exhale as you find the core support, lower your leg nice and slow, and then bring it back in. So you'll move at whatever pace allows you to feel where you might lose the core support, sometimes at the bottom range of our movement. And again, we're just bringing it to tabletop, noticing where you might hold the breath or tighten the jaw. So these are also transitional kind of places of awareness. Is when it gets harder, what do you do in your mouth or your eyes? So nice and slow. Like connecting to your strength in a really curious way. So we can have strength and also, again, that ability to breathe and keep our awareness. So maybe you reach a little further away to make it a little bit more challenging to feel your core support. So you're opening through the hip flexors a little bit more. So keeping that, so we don't want the pelvis to roll forward. We're going to do two more. Tapping and then coming up. Yep, you got it. And then one more. Nice, and then you can either bring the knees in or place them down, whatever would feel better. Kind of iron out that low back. And then placing the feet down flat. So this one's going to be a little bit of like hip opening. This should hopefully loosen your hips up out a little bit. I'm going to move the block because it's hard to see. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to let the right leg fall to the right without the hips going with it. Then you're going to straighten the leg out and then pull the heel in. So leg falls out to the right, so I feel a little groin opening. Then I release the leg and I drag through the heel to pull it up. So the leg falls to the right without my hips going with it. That's where the core support comes in. Bring the leg in. We'll do a couple more. So this can be as slow as you want. And we're really trying to release the hips. So as I let the leg fall to the right, I want to keep core support, but I want to feel an ability to relax through that hip socket. One more. So you can go really slow. And then we're going to do the opposite way. So we're going to let the right leg fall in towards the left. You can even walk the left leg over to the left a little bit more. Internally rotate, and then turn the thigh out. Slide it on the outside, and then bring it in. So again, I'm doing internal rotation, then external as I bring it out, abducting, and then adducting. So just the opposite. So you have to just really slow it down sometimes and just kind of let your leg feel more like heavy, so that it's more kind of letting the leg sweep and be kind of fluid than it is like jerking or pulling. We'll do a couple more. Really use the breath. One more. And And then just breathing for a moment, maybe touching your belly, feeling the belly breath, and noticing the difference in right and left side. I'm going to switch sides so you have a better vantage point if you need to see anything. Okay, so we'll do the second side. So the left leg falls to the left. Remember that our hips don't go with it. So I keep the belly kind of enough support that I can keep the right hip stable. And then I extend and bring it in. So I abduct the leg, it's externally rotated, I extend, and then I neutralize to bring it in. Breathing, and you'll go at whatever pace allows you to slide that leg. One more. And then walk your right leg over to the right a bit, just so you have more space to internally rotate it. And then in internal rotation, slide the leg out and then turn it out. So this should hopefully help lengthen out the psoas a bit as we do this. So we're working like really deep core muscles to stabilize. And we're trying to really accentuate that slide. And then we'll do a couple more. One more. And then just kind of breathing there for a moment. We're going to do some windshield wipers, but I'm going to give you different articulations so that we transition. So I want your legs to feel heavy. I want your legs to initiate moving up and over. So this might be a slower windshield wiper, and your hands can do anything. So my legs will come up, and then my legs will feel gravity pull them down. So I want your hips to be along to the right, and I want you to feel your inner and outer thighs do the work. So I'm pulling up with my legs, and then I'm letting gravity send them to the other side. So again, it's like just a slowing down and a being aware of what you feel in your legs as you move your body side to side. Kind of feeling how the hips just receive the movement. And now I want you to move the pelvis. So I want you to feel the core muscles and the pelvic core kind of bring the pelvis to one side and then rotate, and let your legs just receive the movement. So it's almost like you'll let go of any of the leg tensioning and let the legs be heavy, and you'll feel the belly pull back and then the pelvis shift to one side. So it's a really subtle change in how we do the movement, but I feel more core when I move from the pelvis and not the legs. And then a couple more here. And then after that one, just come to neutral again, a couple deep breaths just to feel the awareness in your hips. And then when you're ready, slowly rolling up and coming to all fours. So cat-cow, and you might, again, try that cat-cow with the difference in the articulation. So maybe the first cat-cow is with your hips, so the hips pressing forward, and then the hips shifting back. And you kind of notice what the shoulders do when the hips do the movement. Then maybe you notice what happens when you move with the shoulders, and you let the hips follow. Excuse me. Just kind of slowing down those transitions, paying attention to what moves us. Not that either one of them is right or wrong. It's just being able to discern what the difference is. And then when you're ready, downward facing dog. So just take some stillness here. Feel the low back stretch. That might require bending the knees, let the head drape. Sink into that nice long deep breath. It's like your metronome to kind of bring you back to your body. So we're going to go through a really slow transition from a down dog to a 3-limb down dog to a low lunge to a bent knee warrior 3. And it's going to be really slow. So I want you to, as you do this, to really, again, those transitions being like the moments in which you first lift your foot off the floor, what's engaged. When you step your foot first on the floor, is it your ball mound or your heel? Like just, again, slowing it down and paying attention to, again, what moves you, what's engaged. So when you're ready, nice and slowly that right leg lifts. And then nice and slowly bring the right leg forward. Again, noticing how you first touch the mat. Then coming to the tips of the toes, finding a moment to feel low lunge. And then how will you send yourself into a high lunge? So I might press into the heel, get light on the left foot, and then bring myself up to a bent knee, warrior three. Then I'm gonna lower myself down nice and slow so I can come out the way I came. Then I'll flatten my hands and then sweep the leg back. So it's like we're in slow-mo camera. And you're gonna keep doing that nice and slow. And kind of just noticing the particulars of, like, I just noticed I went to my outer foot before I was able to place my leg down. So that's interesting. I'll see what I can do next time. So maybe you'll pick a focal point or you'll pick a transition that you're more curious about. And that's the one that you'll play with. We're gonna do this a couple more times. Noticing your breath. And you can pause for as long as you want. Almost like if we could let the transitions be more seamless, right? So that there's just awareness and that we don't notice that we've transitioned because it's one continuous movement and breath and unfolding. And on your last one, that right leg will come up and then we'll just nice and slowly lower it down. So find down dog for a moment. Breathe, kind of feel that out. And then we're going to slowly roll forward to plank. So can you articulate a nice slow roll, finding your core? Then you can either keep your knees down and you'll be transitioning one at a time to kind of straighten the legs. And again, we're feeling those transitional points. Or you'll have your legs straight and you're going to see either one or both at a time. How do I drop towards the knees without moving my hips and losing that core support? So only about 5 times, or if you're doing one leg at a time, maybe try 10. You may not get to 10, but, and again, I'm trying to see how can I keep that nice strong core, heart in line with the core, jaw soft, and that movement feeling strong but connected and synergized. Make sure I'm not holding my breath. And on the last one, we'll keep the knees down and we'll lower all the way to the belly. Then untuck your toes. And we're gonna do some cobra kind of roll up. So we'll first start with palms down or top of the hands down, doesn't really matter. And I want you to go really slow as you draw the shoulder blades back, engage the backs of the legs, and then lift the head, lift the legs. And then nice and slow, come down. Maybe even relax the shoulders and then feel the engagement of the shoulders, the whole back line. And then lift up and then nice and slow, lower down. And a few more just like that. And again, you'll go at whatever pace feels interesting so that you can feel the transition of energy towards the earth and away. The transition of what muscles turn on and what timing. And then one more. And then nice and slowly replant your hands. And then can you lift off the ground with awareness of your core and back body? So instead of just pushing straight up and back, can I feel the core engage? Can I feel the belly pull back long through the spine, the back of the neck? Can I feel the back body kind of press towards the front body to feel strong as I lift up? And then a nice slow child's pose. And your arms can be forward, you can bend the elbows. Or the hands can be back if you want that relaxed kind of child's pose feel. And then we'll do one more nice deep breath. In and out. And then we're going to come to downward dog, and we'll do the same thing on the second side. I'm just going to turn around. So finding down dog, reset your breath. And since you know what's coming, that 3-limb down dog to low lunge to bent knee warrior 3, maybe you're going to pick the same transition to work on. Maybe you're going to pick a different one. Maybe it's just the fluidity in which you don't rush to the next pose, that you see how long can you linger in one pose. So you can fully feel what it's like to be in 3-limb down dog, and then feel and be present through the transitional shape that's nothing, right? Which is just like that leg transitioning to being leg forward. So pick something interesting for you to pay attention to kind of give your mind something new and fresh. And then as you're ready, that left leg lifts up. And then transitioning to low lunge when you're ready. Low lunge will become a bent knee warrior 3 as you're ready. And we're doing this about 4 times. You might be going slower than me. You might be going faster than me. So feel free to work with whatever works and feels curious. Noticing where you hold your breath, perhaps. Like I notice it's easy for me to hold my breath in those transitions, so maybe I'm going to work on breathing consciously through the transitions. So for me, this is my 4th. If you have one more, you can finish it up. Notice if it's harder to move slower, easier to move slower. When you finish your last one, slowly lower that leg to the floor. Nice and slowly rolling your way to plank when you're ready. And again, if you're not there yet, totally fine. Either knees down, lift slowly up. So I would be doing this, trying to keep my core support. Or I can be in plank one knee at a time or both knees. Both knees is more challenging. So again, just breathing, maybe like 5, 6 times. Really working on keeping core support, trying not to hold my breath. Kind of noticing that release of the thigh, but the support of my core and torso. And then last one. Then I'll slowly lower towards the floor. So if you had palms face up, you can try palms down, or you can keep the arms just as you were. We're going to, again, 6 times to lift up nice and slow. You might even want to float the arms. And release. And maybe this time it's that seamless transition from how does the shoulders and the hamstrings engage synergistically to lift me off? Or do I notice the legs lift first? Does the head rush up before the rest of the torso? Can I lift that in synergy? Am I breathing? And then last one. Then the slow transition, so as I walk my hands forward, and I maybe keep my knees down similarly to what we're doing, I gotta find my core support. So shoulders back, belly back. So maybe I'm feeling that front body zip up and kind of synergize towards the back body, so that as one final move, I can press up all together, and then a child's pose. Any arm variation that you like. Sometimes I like active arms because it helps give me a nice active stretch. But sometimes it's nice just to kind of relax and let the arms get heavy, so you can choose. And then slowly coming up. You're going to need a block for this one. Hopefully you guys have one. I'm gonna face, I'll get you on my face and angle. I think that might be easier. So more difficult is the block wide and flat between my feet, and it's gonna be between my feet. Easier is a little bit higher, and obviously up like this will be the easiest, okay? And so what I'm trying to do here is we're gonna work with strengthening the quads and also stretching them. So it's that eccentric work, which means that the muscle is elongating and working. So it can be a really nice way to kind of open up this area. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is you're gonna start kind of sitting into almost like a virasana, but my knees are not together. So I have neutral legs. I'm on the top of my feet. So what you're gonna wanna do is hinge forward and then come up, because that's gonna be a lot easier. But I'm gonna ask you, if you can, hands to the heart, if that works, is press down through your shins and see if you can lift up, kind of using the strength of the front of your legs and not hip hinging. So I'm gonna come up, deep breath, and then again, instead of hip hinging, I'm gonna go back, and then when I need to the very last moment, I'll let the hip crease happen and I'll gently set my legs down. Yeah, just like that. So I want to lift up, and again, it's that transition to be slow so I don't rush up, feeling everything that has to turn on. And as I go back, the whole body goes back. And then at some point, I'll know that I have to gradually start to control my descent and gently sit down. It's harder than it looks. So keep going, nice and slow. Find a transitional point to be aware of, whatever that is. And maybe it's just the landing and the exit, like that last second before you lift off, where can you rest your awareness? And even at the top, we tend to like rush to get that expression. Like, how do I be here and noticing everything changing nice and slow before I am in transition to their final shape? Like, how long can I let that last? One more time. Big breath. And then when you're ready, and then just take a moment there, relax your hands, breathe, feel all that energy through your thighs. Yeah, totally. Whew. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay, we're gonna take the block away, so move it around. So this next one can be done in low or high lunge, and I'm just gonna allow you to kind of play around with this a little bit. So as you're ready, you're gonna tuck your toes under, come to down dog. So breathe, take a moment, reset with your breath. Okay, we're gonna step the right leg forward between the hands, and if you need to double pad your mat, if you're gonna go low lunge. Again, I'm gonna show you this in both ways. So I'm gonna come to a low lunge. So I'm more on I'm forward of my kneecap, and I'm gonna bring my heel in nice and slow, and I'm gonna nice and slow release it. So it's like a hamstring curl, nice and slow. So that's one way you can do it. Or if you wanna come to high lunge, I'm gonna let you lean forward and you'll do that hamstring curl. And then you'll slowly come back to like a high lunge. So you can decide if you wanna go high lunge or low lunge. They're both working the same thing. There'll just be more transitions in a high lunge. So you can decide which one is interesting for you. And again, what we're trying to work is that hamstring curl and that articulation of the range of on which you can feel that hamstring. So I'm gonna go back to low lunge, but you're gonna work with maybe like there's 3 more of these. Breathing. And as you press that top of the foot down, or maybe just the ball mount if you're in high lunge, just kind of feeling those transitional movements. What's strengthening? Where do you feel it in your body? Let's do one more. Nice. And then bring your hands down to the mat, come to down dog. Just breathe in and out in between. And then step your left leg forward and just same thing, second side. So you can try one of each if you like that. Again, you're trying to find whatever position in the low lunge allows you to feel, so you don't feel like your core is dumped forward, but I have enough of a lift, but I'm still relaxing through that right thigh as I tone the back of the leg. Because as we tone this hamstring, we're going to also noticing this allowing us to maybe go deeper in the lunge, maybe. So the heart is lifting. My hand could be at my heart or it can be up. Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice, Rachel. Yeah, good done. And you might have to double pad your mat if it starts to hurt. But the more forward you are on the knee joint, the less it should pull on the bone. So maybe like 3 more. You might even be aware of the differences in your size. Maybe one side feels like the hamstring is much stronger or you have a greater range. 1 more. Nice. Then slowly coming down, downward facing dog or child's pose if you need that. Okay, bring your knees down to the floor. So similar to what we did before, but if you want to tuck your toes, you can. Now we're going to play with just going back and forth. And instead of going all the way to our range, I want you to play with about like maybe 70% of your range. So maybe I could go all the way back here, but that would be like my whole range. I'm just going to kind of go back and I'm going to do like little pulses in a transition. And maybe it's like 10 pulses, and this is really slow pulsing of going back. So I'm feeling the core engaged, just like plank. Breathing. Noticing that my jaw can be relaxed. And I'm not going all the way up and I'm not going all the way back. Let's do 5 more. Good, and then all the way down, relax. So you can make a forehead pillow or relax all the way down. Breathing in, breathing out. Then when you're ready, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. So we're going to add that into our lunge that we just did. So nice and slow. Again, this is going to be a repetition. Right leg is going to come up. We're going to pull the right heel in. And then we're going to bring the right leg forward, nice and slow, and come up to a high lunge. And I'm going to let you touch the back of your head just to kind of give that head some support. So I'm squeezing with the heel of my hands right to the side of the ears, which is that nice little part that can give you like a nice myofascial release. Now bend the back knee, and you're going to go back just like you did, and you're going to come up. Just like 3 times. So I'm leaning back just like I did in camel, that camel prep, come back. It's not a back bend, it's a long spine. 3, and then I'm going to straighten the legs, bring my hands down nice and slow, and then sweep the right leg back up. Hamstring curl in nice and slow. Bring that right leg forward. Come to your high lunge nice and slow. Hands behind the head. This time 2 times go back. So bend the back knee so your spine can be long, but feel the core support. Go back and come up. And then 1 more time. So I'm not going my full range. Then I'll straighten the back leg, allow my spine to come all the way down, hands to the mat. Last time, leg sweeps up. Heel to the bum, so quad stretch. Bring the knee in. Step your right leg forward. And in this time, we're going to do something different. So take the hand behind the head, bend the left knee. And again, it says little bitty pulses just for 10, 9. This is a tiny bit of range. 7, 6, 5. Breathe. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Step forward and take a forward fold. And then just exhale, let the head go. You might even want to hold the head and kind of stretch out through the neck. You might even weight shift. And then when you're ready, halfway lift, stretch long. Exhale, forward fold, set back to plank. And then nice and slowly come forward, knees down if you want to chaturanga, cobra or locust, one time. Paying attention to those transitions, release down. Then setting up your hands and work that nice slow, synergized transition to plank and then to child's pose. And then we're going to stay on that right side for a moment. And we're going to come to a plank pose. And we're going to bring that right leg up and then bring it forward towards a pigeon. And then sink on down for a moment. And we're not going to stay here long. And then we're going to roll over to the right hip. And then we're going to swing the left leg across, internal to external twist. Then I'll lean to the right hip. And I'll internally rotate the leg to come back to pigeon. And then I'll press through my left big ball mound, lift the right knee, and it's a 3-limb plank. 2 more times. Bring the right knee forward, nice and slowly land. You do get a moment in pigeon, so have your moment, whatever that looks like. Then I'll slide to my right hip. And I've got to stabilize through my right hip and pull up through my core before I release the leg. And the leg lifts up. Then I transition eventually to external rotation, and it's a twist. And then again, it's going to go external, external, now internal, and I'm leaning to the right, and I'm lifting through my core, hands down, pigeon, 3-limb plank. This is the last one, so you go at whatever pace you need to. Stay for as long as you need in either of the destinations, and maybe it's, again, that continuous movement, so you can work with any of those things today. Yeah, awesome. Whew. And then nice and slow. And then you can just rest in pigeon. So I could stay on my hands, or I could come to my forearm. And if I want extra, I can reach back and grab the quad opening with either hand, if that works. And then nice deep breath in and out. And then let that leg go, roll to your right hip. And you're going to be in half kind of open angle pose. So my right foot's at my left inner thigh. My left leg is out. If you notice your pelvis tucks under, you can sit on a blanket. And you can also make your legs less wide, so that also can help. Okay, so take your hands and you want your thumb back, your fingers forward at the crease of your right thigh. And then I'm going to allow myself to either grab a strap if I want, or I can slide my hand out to grab onto my ankle. And now let your neck go. So broaden across your right chest. If your right knee is bent, if your left knee is bent, broaden across your left chest. So it's that chest broadening and opening, head relaxing. Relaxing jaw. Nice deep breaths. So just really sinking into sensation here. And then using your left hand to lift your head. We're going to turn and twist to the left. So my left hand might go behind me and the right hand just might grab onto the thigh. I can stay upright, or if I'd like to lean into it, I can. reaching my hands apart. So it depends on what you feel like. You might want to round your spine and you might want to stay upright. It might feel good. Keep relaxing that right thigh or use a blanket or block underneath your bent knee so that you can relax. And then slowly untwist. And then your hands can either press you back to hinge forward, or if you'd like, you can bring your hands forward, whatever would work for you. And if you can, keep your heart proud for this one. So it's almost like you're doing cow posture. So the heart pulls forward, the shoulders pull back. That's why sometimes with the hands back, I can feel that more easily than if my hands are forward. And then really nice deep breaths as you feel an opening through the left pelvis to the left leg that's straight, opening across the heart space. One more breath. And then slow and steady, coming up, and we're gonna transition back towards like a pigeon, and then downward facing dog. We have that left side to do. So again, being mindful, whatever transition you're curious about. Is it the transition being that everything is slow and continuous? Is it that in between, you're keeping your awareness in between and not just at the anchor points of where you know we're going to end up or where we start? So whatever you're paying attention to, just let that intention carry you forward, and then the left leg will lift up. I'm going to do that hamstring curl, and then I'll bring the left knee forward. And as I'm ready, I'm going to come all the way up, hands behind my head. Then I'm going to bend the right knee so I can make my spine upright. And 3 times I'm going to go back. So it's not a back bend. It's just a long spine. So there's not much range there. And then 3. And then you'll straighten the back leg. Nice and slow, hands down. Left leg sweeps up. Hamstring curl. Bring your left knee forward. Nice and slow, come up to that lunge. Bend the right knee, find your core support. We've done it many times, and then now it's 2 times. So it's like a hip hinge. And then as you're ready, nice and slow. And here's your last one. Hamstring curl. Bringing that leg forward. This one's a little bit different, remember, when you're ready. So this time it's that 10 little baby pulses. So remember, it's a very small range. It's not extremely intense. Well, it is, but it's not as intense as it could be. Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice and slow. Bring the hands down. Plank. All the way down to your belly. And so this time we're going to do a bow pose if you want, or if you'd like to just bend the knees and lift the arms and lift the thighs without touching, you can totally do that, okay? So we're going to do this for like 5 times, where we're going to lift up, and then we're going to release down, and then I'm going to lift up, or if I'm holding onto my feet, I'll lift up, and then I'll lower down. I've got a few more, and then we're going to hold. So transitioning. And then here's your hold for 5 or 6 breaths, either bound with your feet or not. And relax when you're ready. Windshield wiper the legs. Child's pose when you're ready. That nice slow transition, if you could. And then here's that pigeon work. So coming forward to plank, left leg lifts. I bring it forward towards a pigeon, and I'm going to take my time entering, and then I'll rock over to the left, and then I'll bring the right leg up, bring it across, twist, slowly reaching, and I've got to really reach my body through my core. Coming to pigeon, 3-limb plank. You've got 2 more. Take your time. And so as I roll onto the left hip, I gotta lift up. So I'm pressing through my left hip to do this. So you get good hip mobility as we do this. And you can use your hands. You don't have to do this hands-free. And here's your last one. A nice slow lift off, using the pelvis to move. And then you get to rest in pigeon when you're ready. And remember, if you wanted to grab the bind of the foot, you could. And then when you feel ready, we'll relax out of that. We'll slide back to the left hip to swing the right leg wide. So I'm gonna change my orientation. So remember, options to make this smaller, to sit on a blanket. So I wanna make sure this left knee, if it's higher than my hip point, I want something on it, because it just really helps you relax a little bit more. Then I'm gonna graze down my straight leg to either grab a strap or grab onto the ankle. Then I'll go fingers forward, thumbs to the back of my hip, just to allow that thigh to roll open and down. And then I'm just gonna do a neck release. Open through my chest. I'm just kind of breathing into the side seam, the neck, the jaw. Opening up the side body. Finding my breath. Switching into feeling mode. And then using your right hand to lift your head. We'll turn and twist towards the straight leg. Now that can be an upright twist or a folded twist. So you're deciding what feels good to your body. Feeling the heart space open. Maybe it's the back of the heart space if you're in a more rounded shape. And then slowly untwisting, and your hands back so the heart is forward, shoulders back, or if you can do that with hands forward, pull the hands back so the heart lifts. And you're going down just as far as you can keep that lift of the heart, so it doesn't have to be a very huge stretch. Nice big breaths. And then one more. And then nice and slowly coming up, transitioning nice and slow back to pigeon, to down dog. Staying for a couple breaths in down dog and contemplating whatever inversion might be nice for you for one final inversion. So that can be a wide leg fold. You could stay in down dog, headstand, handstand, anything you want. It'll take about a minute to be there, so you have time if you want to build something or if you want to come up and down. And the most important thing is to find your breath, and don't forget the transitions, right? So the transition of how our breath is in the pose, the transition from being upright to opposite.
Hey, honey, is dolphin allowed?
Yes, honey.
Okay, thank you.
Sink into your breath.
What was that question, Cam?
Oh, just a quick inversion check. Nothing more.
Okay, about 15 seconds. So really string out some nice long deep breaths. Let your brain get heavy. And then when you're ready to come down from your inversion, take your time coming down and transitioning so that we don't go right side up really fast. So deciding what a nice transition for you might look like. Okay, so for our final shape for the breath work, you can choose to be seated and just kind of being mindful of directing, maybe balancing your energy between head, right, and heart, or you can kind of just really synergizing that energy flow. So that can be one way. And another way is the same thing we've been working, and I just am really liking this lately for what we're all needing, and that's you can lay a block flat, and it's low. It could also be a roll blanket, and sometimes I like to make it a little bit softer, and so I'll just kind of fold the blanket over it. And so that's going to be right at the kind of the shoulder blades area, and then the block is the high setting for the head, and it's right there at that occiput. And then I'm going to open my wings here. I can knock knees together or widen feet. And I'm just going to allow, since the heart is the focal point, just that breath to be there. And oftentimes what will happen, for some reason my computer is not charging. I'm going to fix that real quick. Technical difficulties. Okay, friends. Nice deep breaths. So as you breathe into the heart, whether it's through a rhythmic breath or just your natural breathing, trying to attune to the heartbeat. And maybe you can't feel the beating of your heart or the pace, but kind of just noticing the pace of your heart. Like when you're in Shavasana, when you're breathing and relaxing, kind of noticing that pace of the heart. And then kind of resting your awareness at the head and noticing, is the head faster or slower than the heart? And if it's faster, can you allow the head to kind of connect into that rhythm of the heart? So the intellect kind of slows down a bit to match a more heart-centered pace. And if you feel dull or sluggish in the head, sometimes bringing the head and the intellect up to the beat of the heart or the pace of the heart might make you feel more refreshed. So noticing where you fall, and again, it's just through your intention. And if that way doesn't resonate, you can again just noticing if there's more energy in head or heart, and you can just allow energy to move from one or the other. And forming our Garuda Mudra, left hand on the heart first, right hand on top, hook your thumbs, and then take 5 deep breaths. And then taking the hands over the head, over the third eye, so it's that space right between the eyes, just letting your hands fall on that center. Taking in that energy of the eagle, Garuda. And then releasing the hands, and then however you just slowly transition. Sometimes I like to lift the head and then use the hands to lift up nice and slow so that it doesn't feel rushed. Before we come to a seat. So tune into your body just to notice any shifts or changes. Feel out the space you created for your yoga practice, for you. Reconnect to the intention you had for your practice today, and maybe any intention you wish to carry forward into the rest of your evening. Feel this connection of community within us. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you for practicing. Namaste.